Hey third graders, Mrs. Oliver here. I'm going to go over comprehension that goes with your floppy story this week. We are on Unit 3, Week 2. It is called Jane's Discovery, and you can find that on pages 176 through 181. A short summary of our story this week is we're introduced to a girl named Jane, and she lives on a farm. We start the story with her being very angry and upset, almost running from her house to get away from learning to read. She wants to be like her brothers, one of the boys, and work on the farm, whereas her parents would like her to learn to read and have an education. Ironically, she stumbles over a pair of legs that belong to Abraham Lincoln, and she begins this relationship where Abraham Lincoln is kind of a mentor and he teaches her to read, which follows towards time changing and moving forward. Abraham Lincoln ends up being elected president by the end of her story. Because of those reasons, where we have a real historical person, Abraham Lincoln, we have a newspaper article with the date he was inaugurated. For those reasons, this story is historical fiction. Fiction meaning that it's fake. Jane isn't a real person. We don't really know if Abraham Lincoln taught a little girl named Jane to read, but what we do know is that Abraham Lincoln was an avid reader himself, and he eventually became one of our presidents. The comprehension strategy is visualize, and one of the questions I was thinking in my head as I was reading was, how does Jane feel at the beginning of the story? Visualizing is when we want to make a mental picture in our head, and we can do that by using evidence to support what we're thinking. So this little section on page 199 says, Jane slammed the door and raced into the woods. She ran for a long time. I am assuming that Jane probably has a mixture of feelings. When someone slams a door, they might be angry, they might be upset, they might be a combination of both, and I am making an inference that that's how Jane feels. She's kind of frustrated that they're forcing her to read. She wants to be like her brothers, so she chooses to run away and kind of have some time alone. Our comprehension skill is problem and solution. Using this graphic organizer, I'm starting with Jane and Abraham Lincoln, which they refer to as Abe through the story. That's his nickname. The setting is the woods near Jane's house. So the cause is kind of like what is leading up to the effect. So we know that Jane runs away from her house angrily. So we want to think backwards. Why does that happen? So why does Jane run away? What causes her to run away? She is being forced to learn to read and wants to work on the farm instead. Another effect that happens in the story is that Jane learns to read. How does Jane learn to read? What causes her to learn to read? She develops a relationship with Abe, who teaches her and shows how important reading is. When I think of cause and effect, I normally think about a light switch. So if the light is on, I'm asking myself, what caused that? Well, the switch is up. If I think about a room being dark, I might say, the room is dark. Why is it dark? What caused it to be dark? Well, the switch is down. You want to use that same kind of simple thought when you are figuring out cause and effect. So you think of an event that happened in the story, and then think backwards. Why did that happen? Think of an event in the story, think backwards. What caused that to happen? I hope this helped you understand your story more this week, and I'll catch you next time.